All right, welcome to the starchlady.com. We've got another fun video today. I've got my two pans here ready to make some au gratin potatoes. Au gratin potatoes is one of the first dinners that my husband and I shared 30 years ago this year. It'll be 30 years. And we've got some already cooked russet potatoes that we're going to use. We're going to actually thicken up the cheese sauce. We're going to do it with the cauliflower we've got over here in the pot. It's all steamed, ready to go. Well, that steamed up my phone. And then we have a little bit of tapioca starch. I'm out of nutritional yeast, so we're kind of modifying it with the tapioca starch today, making it a little bit thicker cheese. Onion powder, garlic powder. We've got the roasted red bell peppers, a little bit of dry mustard. And then we're going to roast some Brussels sprouts and broccoli in a maple glaze sauce. And we're going to top the au gratin potatoes with some green onions from the garden. Let's get started with the cheese sauce here in the blender. Okay, so filling up the blender with just 2 of the steamed medium or small heads of cauliflower. After this blends down a little bit, I'll add the third one because I want to make a bunch of sauce because I'm in the mood for some mac and cheese later this week that we're going to use extra for. Okay? To the cauliflower, we're going to add some onion powder. Probably about 2 or 3 tablespoons right there. We're going to add about the same of the garlic powder. Garlic powder always comes out easier. I have no idea why. I'm afraid to ask. Okay, I like a little garlicky flavor. About a teaspoon of dry mustard. A half cup of tapioca starch. And this is not cornstarch. This is tapioca starch for a reason. It's going to give it that stretchy pull feel that we like. Normally you'd use a full jar with the liquid content packed in water of the roasted red bell peppers. But because I buy mine in the larger jars from the Indian store, I'm going to use a full cup, but I'm going to measure it out, and I'm going to have to add a little bit of juice to it to measure. That's 1. Here's 2. And let's get a little liquid like that. Good job. Okay, everything's in there. Now we're going to blend until it's nice and creamy and smooth. It's creamy down, and so we're going to add that other head of cauliflower we talked about. Now that's going to be a full jar. See how it looks? Oh yeah, nice and creamy. And even though it's nice and thick there, we're going to make it a little bit more stretchy. This is kind of saucy right now, which is great. We can use it just like this. But we're going to make it a little stretchy because of the tapioca starch. We're going to put it on a hot skillet and stir it around a little bit. Look at that beautiful cheesy color. Okay, we've got it in the skillet and it's starting to talk back. But we're going to heat it up a little bit. Let's turn the heat down just a little bit. It's a little bit too violent. Okay. Get that nice and stirred around. And as it starts to cool off, tapioca, unlike cornstarch and just thickening it, it's going to give it a stretchy texture. Tapioca starch or tapioca flour is also the secret ingredient for making excellent gluten-free bread. That's what gives it its bounce and elasticity. So, I'm going to give this a little bit more cheesy texture here by stirring it around like this and get it nice and hot. So because I have 3 heads of cauliflower in here, one of the things I forgot to do, and I just corrected it, was I only put 1 half cup of the tapioca starch, and because I had 3 heads, I needed to increase that to 1.5 cups of cornstarch, maybe just a little bit more. And so it's about half to 3/4 cup up to 1 cup per head of cabbage or cauliflower, depending on what size your head is. So if you notice, this is getting a lot more stretchy as it starts to heat up. If you follow this same exact recipe without the roasted red bell peppers to get this beautiful rich color and added vegetable benefit, it comes out like mozzarella cheese. Great for lasagnas and stuff like that. But look, that's much more stretchy and chewy. More than nacho cheese. It's just a little bit stretchy. Just like you'd want it for like macaroni and cheese texture. So next, we're going to ladle in a good scoop of the stretchy cheese sauce into our baking pan and make a layer. Next, we're cutting the au gratin potatoes from the cold potato from yesterday. They make a resistant starch into about 1/4 inch slices that will layer like we would lasagna back and forth with the cheese. As much as my youngest son loves this cheese sauce, I have to remember to call it cheese-like sauce because he hates it when us plant-based eaters call things that they're not. He says, call it what it is. It's sauce. So we're just going to layer a layer, add some more cheese sauce, and it's 1 slice short of a full 3 layers. I'm going to cut in some green onions from the garden. And sprinkle those on top. Make them all pretty. I want to put some breadcrumbs on top, but I somehow don't have it. I don't know where they went, so I'm going to use some of these gluten-free entertainment crackers. They're just tiny little guys. Crumple them up on top. Just place them in a bag and just start crunching them. You can use a bottle. I've got my water bottle here. It comes in handy for all kinds of things. Always have water on hand by the stove. On top. Like that. And pop it in the oven. And poof, there were 2. Into the oven they go at 400 degrees, just enough to brown that up a little bit. For our next magic trick, we're going to take these beautiful organic, pre-washed, giant Brussels sprouts, and we're going to put them with some broccoli, also organic. Again, why do we do organic? We do it for the thin things, these things that get heavily sprayed because bugs like to eat them. So thick skin, it's okay. Buy whatever you want. But for the thin stuff that you can poke your nail through, you need to do it organic in my book. So here you go. You cannot wash off the pesticides and herbicides that have been sprayed on bugs and plants that go down into the soil, and then the plant drinks it up. So that's why we need to buy it organic without those things being added to the soil or sprayed on them. So we're going to slice those up. One of the fun things we like to do with these little Brussels sprouts is to snack on them while we're watching a movie instead of popcorn. You just peel them off one at a time, one little layer at a time, pop them in your mouth, rinse them really good, and just eat layers and layers of them while you're watching a movie, and it keeps you entertained for hours. This is kind of a take off of a dish we used to enjoy at the Saltgrass back in the day, and it was just the roasted Brussels sprouts with a maple glaze. Super simple. Just cut off the tough end and then slice them thin. To soften these up a little bit, we're going to add them to a pan, a little bit of water, cover them with a lid, let them steam up just a little bit, and then we're going to let the water evaporate and add the maple syrup. I've transferred them over into a bigger pot so that I could add in the broccoli at the same time. You want that to get nice and fork tender barely so that it can evaporate off. For the glaze, we're going to use some organic reduced balsamic vinegar and some sugar-free Mrs. Buttersworth. I don't have any pure maple when this is gone, which has been lasting me forever. I mean, like over 1.5 years, I think now. When it's gone, I'll get some pure maple. We're going to do equal parts. Stir it together. Got the sweet and the sour kind of together. Okay, so we have strained the steam water off of the broccoli and the Brussels sprouts. The reason why we do that, Brussels sprouts and broccoli are 2 of the 15 cruciferous vegetables that have oxalic acids that disrupt your ability to absorb vitamins. And I think it's vitamin C, A, and D. And they also have natural goitrogens, which disrupt your thyroid. So you always want to steam them and throw away the water, slightly blanch them or boil them and throw away the water, and then go from there. So we're going to add them to the maple syrup and the balsamic vinegar and give it a toss. It just coats everything so beautifully. We're going to dump this out on parchment paper on a baking pan that we can put under broil. If you have any extra parchment paper hanging around, go ahead and trim that off so that it doesn't get start burning too much in the under the broiler. Okay, it's ready to go in. And our pans of beautiful au gratin potatoes are ready to come out. I must be getting very hungry because I just switched that over to air fry so it'll go quicker. Isn't that gorgeous? Voila! Au gratin potatoes with maple roasted broccoli and Brussels sprouts. Enjoy. Yum, yum.